Hello, I am your host Chloe Brewster and welcome to The Creative Comeback, a love affair with the arts in podcast form. I talk to creators from all different walks of life, discussing the ups and downs of being a creative in modern society, delving into the nitty-gritty of the arts industries. Today on The Creative Comeback, I chatted to the talented Lauren Williams, founder of Lemonade, a sustainable clothing brand. Alongside the creation of her clothing for her brand, Lauren is a full-time student. We spoke about all things fashion and breaking into the industry.
Okay, so creative students, I think, just our experience now, and that's all I can remember.
Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, basically I'm just doing my project on like a world without the arts. So of when I first came up with the idea was, I don't know if you saw like the government Rethink, Retrain campaign.
Nope, I don't watch TV. It's so depressing.
Don't even get time. So basically the campaign was just like, they had a ballerina and they'd taken a picture of her and they were like, her next job could be in cyber, she just doesn't know it yet. Rethink, retrain, reskill.
Oh, that campaign. Yeah. I just didn't know it was called that, but yeah, I do remember that.
So basically I saw that and I was kind of like, I don't know, it sort of inspired me to kind of create like an answer in a way to like their question of whether the arts are essential. So basically I just want to ask you a couple of questions on like sort of the arts industry and that kind of thing, and then I was wondering if you would be able to just take, obviously it doesn't have to be now, just take a couple of self-portraits of you in your sort of creative environment to include, because it's a photo book but it's also going to have like text and graphics. So I'm the worst at explaining, so
yeah, that's fine.
I will sort of just dive in and ask you the questions, I suppose.
Yep.
So what made you choose going into like fashion design and fashion sort of as a career?
I think, well, before I chose it as a career, it was a hobby. And what I would do was I would always help other people design their fashion lines, come up with really great ideas for other people. So I was like, I should begin doing this for me. Like, it will actually work out really well because people literally pay me to draw for them and, come up with ideas. So I could do some extraordinary stuff if I just focused on myself as well. I think I found it really rewarding as well because I have aunties who did fashion as well. They've always pushed me and said that in their time they didn't have what we had, the world of social media and all of that. So because my auntie wanted to be a fashion designer but she had to just become a teacher because it didn't really go that well. So they're kind of all counting on me and living their dream through me. It's kind of sad, but it's also just natural to me. I like doing it. I have tried other things, other interests that I was interested in around college, but I was just like, no, I defo want to do that. Yeah,
definitely. I know I'm the same. Everyone's like, if you don't do something to do with fashion, like I'm gonna be so disappointed, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'll just pick some outfits out for people, that's fine. So were there like any main inspirations for you when you were growing up that made you, obviously I know you mentioned about your family, if there was anyone in the spotlight or anything that sort of influenced you to be part of the fashion industry?
I wouldn't actually say when I was growing up. I would say like now, just because there's a lot more of like my face, my skin tone, my people in like the industry now I'm seeing. So it's nice to see that. I also think like the cross of like the different, not genres, but like different things crossed together now more than ever. So you've got like film and fashion, and you've got like music and fashion. That's really nice to see. Because now we're seeing like people who were like really big in music, kind of like Rihanna and stuff, like they've crossed over into the fashion world. That was really inspiring because it just shows that like arts are kind of like interchangeable. If you do one, you can basically do the other. Things like that. Yeah.
Definitely. So do you feel like as someone who's in the creative industry, you're supported mentally and financially, or do you think that one's lacking, or do you think both are lacking?
With the mental part, I would say not that much. It depends on what sort of institute you belong to. I mean, I can access mental health and counselling and that type of stuff through my uni services, but it takes about 6 weeks for you to actually get someone, be referred, all of that. So in that time, if you die, you've just died. Like,
literally.
I would say if you're like a freelancer, kind of just doing whatever you're doing on the side, you don't belong to any educational institute, I would say that's a lot harder. I do think there's NHS counselling, but I don't know how accessible it is or how, if it's even free, I don't know. Financially, I would say it's definitely hard for creatives because already we're not prioritized as the most important people, the most important subjects, which is understandable because science is out here saving lives. But like my course, it's one of the most expensive courses out there. Like when I joined in first year, they literally had this list and they were like, you have to buy this list or you will struggle. Now we're at home, we don't use anything on the list, but I think the list was like a good 150 to 200 that you just had to appear with, and that was before our student finance had dropped and we all had to just find this money and just buy all this stuff. So not really. It's only recent because of the pandemic that I've seen like my uni doing a couple of grants for people and some relief funds, but apart from that there hasn't really been much, and that's kind of for overall all students. There hasn't been anything just for creative arts people, really. No.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially with
I would say with the funding, because I was like, because this is my new studio and I funded that. I actually used student finance to finance this place, but we won't discuss it. But like my studio manager all the time like sends us different relief funds and stuff you can go for, but you literally don't qualify for any of it until you're making like, I think it's like 25 grand, and it takes a while for creatives to get to that level. So I would say like the micro creatives and really small, there's just nothing out there for you right now, unfortunately.
Definitely. And I think as well, they sort of, with the funding, you either have to be making a certain amount or not. So the sort of in between, and there's so many people going for it nowadays that like there's always going to be someone who needs it that little bit more than you. So and you always miss out on it. And I know that like the same with us happened. We were expected to turn up with a £200 makeup kit. We've done makeup I think probably like 10 times since I've been at uni, and it's my third year. So I've got this £200 kit that I've used like 10 times. In the end I was like, I guess I'm just going to use the makeup on myself now because no one else is using it.
It's useful. Don't let it expire. Definitely use it.
But yeah, I definitely think it could be improved. So sort of leading on from that, obviously the government sort of made it out a little bit like being in a creative industry is unskilled. Would you say that actually it does take quite a lot of skill to be within the creative industry?
I would say it definitely does, just because the creative industry is like, it's a mix of different skills that makes one big skill. That's why it's different to others, because maths people do maths and science people do science. But with me, with fashion design, it's maths, it's measurements, it's knowledge of science as well, because you've got to know what kind of properties are in each fabric and how it's going to react on people's bodies. It's like a mashup of everything. You've got ethics in there. You've like, how do I create sustainably and not horribly? And, you know, it's a lot. So I don't think that was right for the government to do. Yeah, that was not nice for us. It was, yeah, I would say you definitely need to be skilled. It's also something that's not quite straightforward. It requires a lot of thinking. The other subjects and areas do too, but it's not as straightforward as 2 + 2 = 4. You might be on some sort of personal investigation or journey to do with your creative project, and because there's so much of it out there as well, you really need to differentiate yourself when you're a creative. So it takes a lot more work to come up with an idea that's actually unique, that that appeals to people. Yeah.
So, where am I? I've got loads of questions. I'm just like, which one was I on? So, sort of, how would you describe it being a student and like having your own creative business at the same time?
Very very manic. Like, it's very chaotic. Like, I don't really have a routine. I just wake up in the day and I'm just like, right, today I'm doing this, or tomorrow I'm going to the studio. This is basically my house now. I just live here. But yeah, it's very, it's a bit difficult because it's like you're not like the other kids, and like you do have to sacrifice a lot. When I started this year, like one thing I realized was that my social life has literally gone down the drain. Because my friends would be like, hey, let's drink tonight, or let's go out. I'm just like, oh, I can't, I've got to make orders and stuff like that. And after a while you get depressed. You're just like, it's my life. But the balance is really hard to find. The right balance is very hard because you've got uni telling you need to be doing this amount of hours a week, independent study, and then you've got these orders and these people, and it's like, even when you're not focusing on your brand or whatever it is you do, like you still have different parts to keep up, like maybe it's your accounting or maybe it's your like social media, so you can't 100% be away from it. And before, a problem for me was my home life, my uni life, and my creative business. What I was doing was just all in one room, so it was really chaotic and I couldn't separate it from each other. But now, like, here is here where I work and home is home, so when I go home it's time to relax, maybe focus on uni and do whatever I need to do there, but here is here. So yeah.
And then you've got the constant pressure of people like, where's my order? How long is it going to take? And you're like, give me a second.
Yeah, there's that as well. But I came to the conclusion that you can't come and kill yourself. So I had to get an assistant. She's really good and she's been helping out 3 days a week as well. So yeah, that's gone well for me.
I'm just trying to make sure I don't ask you the same question like 8 times in a row. So how do you think coronavirus has impacted you and the creative industry?
It has, in both good and bad ways. It's one of those things where it's just like, you wonder if it had never happened, would you have this or would you have that? And I would say for me, it definitely gave me more time because I was able to sit at home. And you can do a lot more when you are in the comfort of your own home. With lectures, you had to be there all day and all you had to do was your uni work. You couldn't focus on anything else. But with this, it gave way for like multitasking, and I'm really grateful for that because I actually revived what I did over the lockdown and made it like, actually stand properly. I would say for materials and actually getting hold of those things you need to actually run your creative business, it's made it much harder. Because for me, I used to love like my local business. They would sell like 100 zips for like local market, they would sell like 100 zips for like 25p, and it was just so cheap. You could get all like these random end of the roll fabrics that were really lovely, but now the market's not there and you have to buy like fabric online for like crazy prices and stuff, and your customers don't understand because they don't see behind the scenes or how much the materials cost. So when you've risen your prices because fabrics have also risen, they don't really get it and you lose people, and it's not being good. It's really not been good. I would say also with like our creative spaces, that's been one that's really been hard for people as well, because it's one of those things where some creative practices you can do at home, but eventually they grow and it's like, I can't contain this to my room anymore. Because the reason why we moved to this place is because we were sewing one day and I just tripped the power in my entire uni block.
Oh, no.
And like everyone was like messaging in the group chat, like, do you have electricity? I don't have electricity. Who's done this? And I was just like, oh my God. So I had to call security, and I was just like, I think I did something, I don't know. And it took them like a day to fix it, and we were just in darkness. So everyone's home environment is not, suited to what they do. And it's not as straightforward as the other subjects or what other people do. I know that people's uni premises and like studios and stuff were really important to them, because they could use the stuff and use, materials and stuff there that they can't use anymore. It's also made it a lot more expensive because you generally have to buy everything. You've got to have all the machines, you've got to have all the printing materials and stuff like that, because you can't go in and use it. So yeah, it's been both good and bad. I'd say another bad part is just obviously now there's like a lot of comparison, especially in uni, as to what needs more funding and who needs more help, and we're kind of always at the bottom of the pile, because it's just like, okay, but you guys paint and you guys draw, why do you need help? And yeah, we're just being kind of overshadowed and overlooked a bit. Yeah,
definitely. And sort of going along with that, do you feel that you're not getting a lot of funding, but there's still a massive pressure to be creative, even if you're mentally drained and have like burnt yourself out?
Yeah, there definitely is. I would say with uni, we're just one group of people Boris just doesn't like to address. Like, we never get spoken about. He actually never talks about us. It's always like the educational minister guy who will come on afterwards and be like, oh, okay, so and so. He actually just never addresses us, and we're still being forced to like put out the work, still produce the work, but it's like there's a lack of creative inspiration right now. Just like, I would say you gain inspiration when you go out, you look around you, you see all different things and different people and different places. That's what museums and galleries are for and stuff like that, and they're all shut, and it's just like you can only gain so much inspiration from like your room or your four walls, and after a while it becomes just like really like forced. It's very forced, because like they told us a couple of weeks ago, like you're going to create a collection based on nature, and it's just like, what nature? We don't go outside. Like, it's just very forced these days.
Definitely. And do you think that a world without art and creativity would be worth living? Like, how do you feel about sort of a world without art in general?
I feel like art is in everything. Like, it actually is in everything. So it would be impossible to live without it. It can't really happen, because the most basic things that you literally think, don't require art, do require art. Like a microwave, someone designed it. Like, you know what I mean? So also in a time like this as well, it's art that is actually saving people, because you've seen an increase in film and TV, and everyone's just, if you didn't have a Netflix before, you definitely have a Netflix now. So that's been saving people. People have been picking up new hobbies at home out of boredom. Like, there's been so many people just picking up painting or drawing or learning new skills, and it's that has literally been keeping people sane. So I don't think it could, a world without art could exist, really. Yeah.
And do you think because of that, society as like a whole would change? Do you think people's attitudes towards each other and towards nature and things like that would change? Do you think they'd be more appreciative or greedy, or do you think it would have an impact on that?
I definitely think people will be more appreciative of everything around them, and especially the arts afterwards, because it's kind of the arts mostly that have been taken away from us. If you think about it, like your galleries, your museums, your clubs to an extent, like the cinemas, all of that, like even food is an art. Restaurants have been taken away, and I definitely think, because I've got a bucket list of things that I want to do, like once Corona ends, if it ever ends. But yeah, I definitely think people will be more appreciative.
Definitely. And then sort of going more back towards you and your business. Does your work like have an aim to it? Like, do you create your work to create a political point or sort of like an artistic point?
I wouldn't really say a political point. It doesn't really have any strong political references to it. It's more of what we do is we try and get people to shop more ethically and sustainably. I think if this year has been anything, it's just the year of exposing. Like, brands are being exposed, people are being exposed, everyone is just out here being exposed. And I think people have seen a lot more that, like, these brands are just not it. Like, you've got Boohoo and the sweatshops and, like, I think it was... No, there was PLT and some sort of scandal as well. And it's a lot more mainstream as well now. So we just show people that you can shop here and get the same trend. It might be a bit more, but like it's got durable fabric, it will last longer, it's literally made from scratch and all these things. So our aim is just to show our age group, kind of like 18 to 25, that there is a better way to shop. And whilst no one can completely cut out fast fashion, not even me, the aim is just to reduce it, that's all. Yeah.
Perfect. So sort of how have you developed your career and your business? Would you say a lot of it's to do with social media or for university or that kind of thing? Like, how did you sort of gain people's interest within your products?
Okay. I see myself as self-taught. Like, I actually did a lot of what I know. I just taught myself a lot. I think up until like 15, I actually hated sewing. I was like, I hate machines. I just want to like create things in my head and let people like find some people to create them for me. But then I figured, if you're going to start something, you do not have that money yet, Lauren. So you need to actually learn how to do this. So it was like a lot of YouTube tutorials, a lot of books. I actually took a very useless college course. Like, it didn't teach me how to sew one bit. Like, I think I did textiles. That was the only fashion related thing in my college you could study. And textiles was all about decorating fabric, but not actually sewing anything. You would do screen printing, all this different type of printing, but you would not actually make anything. So when I got to uni, it was like they threw you right in the deep end. Like, you're supposed to know how to make this, this and this, but like I didn't come from somewhere that actually taught us how to do that. So with me, it was like a lot of self-taught, a lot of self-teaching. I signed up to like different online classes where they would teach you how to sew stuff. I would say uni has helped. It's sharpened the skills a lot more in terms of like just perfecting things and stuff like that. But it helped more when I could actually go and see what my teacher was doing, because right now my lecturer, she really tries, but the camera is horrible, the lighting is horrible, everything is just horrible. Social media also helped a lot, because I actually like revived my business in the time when everybody was on their phones, because it was lockdown, there was nothing else for people to do. So I did a lot of ads, I worked with a lot of influencers, so that really helped. Yeah.
Perfect. So sort of where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Hopefully out of uni. I just feel like it's dragging for so long now, and the pandemic makes it feel longer. But I've always been asked, like, do you want a physical retail space? And I don't know if that is something I even want, because it's just like, I've seen so many like small businesses and shops, physical ones, go down the drain because of the, pandemic, that I don't know, I would probably just keep my business online, but I would want us to be available through like more retailers. So maybe you go to, I don't know, Urban Outfitters were there, or you go to, Reaching for it, maybe Selfridges were there, Topshop. But yeah, I'd like to defo be in more places through more retailers. I would like to, I don't know, because I thought getting a studio would be really far away, but I literally did that this year. I'd probably like to expand my team as well, just into different people, because I suck at certain things. I literally have my best friend handle the social media because I hate it. Like, it just takes long, and editing all the pictures and stuff like that. Because after I've sewn all day, and then I have to sit down and do Photoshop and edit this and do that, it's really long. So I'd love like a social media person, someone to handle all the boring accounts and finance and all that stuff. Where else? That's a good question, actually. I would like a bit more of an expanded customer base. I'd say right now the customers are mostly in the UK, kind of dotted around Europe, and also in a couple in America. But I would definitely like some more customers around the world.
Perfect. Do you feel like your sort of goal, your 5-year goals, are supported by your teachers, mentors, and society, or do you think there's sort of like this atmosphere of everyone's out for themselves, no one really wants to help each other? It's sort of like that kind of industry.
Yep. I think my lecturers are kind of supportive of people's side hustles and stuff like that. I just find it really uncomfortable because they actually stalk everything I do. Like, my teachers follow Lemonade, they follow me as well, so it's just like they see everything that I do, and it's just like, oh, so that's why you weren't in lectures. And it can be really patronizing sometimes. But like, my teachers have like written articles on me in uni, and, you know, done some nice stuff to get me some exposure. They are supportive of it, but I don't think they want you to be doing that more than you're supposed to be doing your uni work. We are given like a lot of tools and links, especially in fashion, in things that you can use and places you can get discounts on fabrics and wholesale and stuff. So they are supportive. I would say society, though, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure, because even securing this place, like, I looked and looked and looked for a studio that I could afford, and I went halves with my best friend, and that's how we ended up with this place. But like, emerging creatives who were just starting a business, it's really hard to find a creative space that you can actually work from, because I got lucky. This one is in London, and it's like £400 a month, but they literally, the usual price, I got this price because we're uni students and we basically begged for a discount, but I got this, most places in London, creative studios, start from 700, and it's just like, I can't. So society could make it, you know, a bit, I guess that's not society's fault. It might be, I don't know. The government as well, like, just more stuff available for people starting up. Everything available is sort of for those who have been doing business for a couple of years. They're making a couple thousands. It's more for those people. Because even when I've gone on these things to try and apply, you've got to have 5 years worth of accounts to show them. You've got to have bank statements to show them. You've got to have all this stuff. And it's just like, well, no, I don't have that. I just started making, you know, juice in my garden. I don't have that.
Yeah, literally. So, you don't expect it to sort of blow up like it does, so you haven't been keeping track, and then you're sort of like, oh, what am I supposed to do now? Yeah. So how do you deal with people that are copycats? Because I remember a couple of months ago, it was the Zodiac collection, wasn't it? Was stolen by AliExpress. Obviously, this is a big thing to deal with quite a lot of the time. How do you sort of go about dealing with that? Like, does it frustrate you? Does it make you upset? Do you, like, is there a form of flattery in there? Like, what's your opinion?
It did frustrate me a lot. It still frustrates me, because it just got more and more. It was like one seller on AliExpress at first, and then it was like, it just started popping up everywhere. Like, some someone said it was on Shein as well, and I was just like, look, I'm not even going to look because I will just get frustrated. It was really frustrating. I think like for 2 weeks I was just like contacting different AliExpress sellers and asking them to take it down, and their explanation was literally like, oh, we didn't know it was yours, we get it from a supplier who just supplies us the clothes we sell, but we don't actually like know where it comes from. And I was just like, who is this supplier? Like, can I please speak to your supplier? And no one would give me any answers. And it was just really annoying. And I spoke to my auntie, she's not a, trade lawyer, but she's a criminal justice lawyer, but I still thought she might know something I could do. And we looked into it and we were like, we do not have the budget to fight these people out. We actually don't, because we're not even fighting a brand. Like, we're fighting a marketplace. Like, it's literally like fighting an eBay or an Amazon. It's like, how? So in the end, we kind of just left it. I mean, I put a polite notice up on like the Instagram saying that like you can clearly tell the differences in what we've made and what they've made. Theirs is not quite clear because I guess they've just taken it off our website and just screenshot it or something. And I've just told people that like, if you support us, you know where it came from, and just, advise other people not to buy it. And that's really all you can do, because even big brands, like I've seen big brands like Off-White and stuff be copied by AliExpress, and it's just like not even there, doing anything about it. So it's like, I can't come and die. Like, I really can't. And it still scares me because I've never had a sale from China before. I've never posted anything to China, but like I get a lot of site views from China, and you're genuinely like, because I can see every time someone comes on the site and like what pages they're looking on and stuff like that. And sometimes you're like, are you a genuine site visitor? Should I just shut down the site for 5 minutes so you go away? Like, I don't know. It does scare you. It does scare you. Yeah.
I can imagine. And it's sort of like you've worked so hard and someone's literally taken your photos. They've not even made their own photos, and then they're just, I suppose as well, it's sort of like the question of your quality of your products are really great. So when someone provides a less quality version of it, it's like you don't want people to associate it with you and think that that's what your products are like as well.
Yeah, it is annoying because we're like a small brand. I'd say if we were bigger, then we could have gotten away with just saying, well, these people have taken our stuff, but you guys know where it came from in the first place. I feel like only a very small percentage of people know where it came from. Like, there's going to be a lot of people who will see it on there for the first time in their lives and be like, oh, this is really cool, blah, blah, blah. But it's just like, that's not where it came from, but they will never know. So, yeah.
So how do you look for opportunities within the industry? What's your main sort of source for finding new opportunities and new collaborations?
I would say the main source is probably like social media. There's always like people on there saying, I'm looking for a stylist, or I'm looking for a this or a that. And you find people through there. Because we were looking for models, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and the amount of people that were just coming forward like, I want to do it. It literally is the fastest way to find people. I don't think there's anything like it. I think I did network a bit in uni with people on my course. You find people that do different things. I literally live in uni as well. Like, next door to me, there's a photographer. She's really good as well. So networking within like different creative subjects around uni as well also helps. They purposely make us do like cross assignments with different people in different, subjects as well. So we get to know different people. So yeah, but I would say number one is like social media, and there are like special accounts set up as well for creative opportunities that you can go and look at as well. Yeah.
Perfect.